Goblin Stone is a story-driven turn-based roguelite, which sees us manage a goblin settlement by farming resources on expeditions through beautifully stylized levels where we face off against a handful of copy-pasted enemies by following the amazingly narrated story of likable orcs and clumsy goblins, but a few major issues plague the whole gaming experience. After many hours of seeing countless of goblins die, I can tell you what Goblin Stone is all about and if it is a real fun or a refund. We follow the journey of a few goblins who got driven out of their home by a third of the Lord of the Rings cast. Sheltered and homeless, they find refuge in a settlement which we extend with additional rooms to stack the gathered loot, train new goblins into different archetypes, trade with a friendly orc merchant and give them a private room to breed new generations of goblins. With new genetically evolved allies, we start our expeditions in the war room, picking a mission to gather resources or a story-relevant episode. Once we pick a destination, we see our goblins tread on a path with a few twists and turns, replacing the simple roguelike themed maps of other games and giving us a sense of exploration. Not to mention the breathtaking stylized environments are, breathtaking. Amidst the pretty scenery, we encounter first and foremost enemies which we face in the neat combat system. These battles see our leather-skinned group take turns with our enemies. Each character has an array of actions to choose from, with different cooldown times. Using a powerful attack sees our goblin move back on the time bar as well as the field, with the next one stepping into the front line. Since most enemies attack the goblin closest to them, the combat system gets far more strategic, since we not only have to take into account when our goblin will react, but who he will receive the next attack from. This simple yet clever change to the typical turn-based combat system gets further affected by the few unique effects our skills can have, like slowing down the enemies, speeding up our own allies, or entirely stopping them in their tracks and on the time bar. The variety of abilities increases further with the different classes our goblins can become, with the guard shielding himself and others, or the acolyte healing his allies, or the hunter setting up a poop trap which blasts our enemies. That's some explosive diarrhea. Apart from the combat system, we can also find merchants, new equipment for our goblins, caged companions we set free, camps to regain our health, or shrines and trainers to upgrade our stats and abilities for the ongoing expedition, to name a few examples. Furthermore, we encounter well-written events which challenge our team to amass a certain stat to successfully finish this encounter. These stat points furthermore dictate the classes our goblins can become and are heavily influenced by the traits each goblin has from birth, but more on that in a minute. These classes can be assigned to our companions through the integral rooms in our settlement. If we want to have an acolyte in our team, we require the room. This, however, opens up the first issue the game shows, since not only do we need to encounter these classes to unlock the room, but also are the building costs of these rooms quite expensive. The rarity of the classes amounts to me having only 5 of the 7 classes available after over 8 hours of game time, while the building cost requires us to venture out 2 to 3 times before we have enough resources to build a single room. This grind is one of the more annoying hurdles of the game, since it blocks our path to creatively setting up our varied group and are forced to fill the team with the same class multiple times during the first couple of hours. Apart from issue number 1, we get back to the variety of our companions and their love to each other, since breeding is a fundamental part of our settlement's progress. Every goblin has 3 stat points and possible traits affecting the combat power, health, armor or crit chance. These traits can be adjusted when sending 2 goblins with the wanted trait into the lovemaking room, which results in 2 new goblins with a mixture of their parents' traits, while the OG goblins die during the mating act.
Death by Snoo! Yeah!
Even though death is constantly around the corner for the green-skinned folk, their deaths are actually an integral part of the game, since goblin progress is being built on the ancestors' backs, meaning every killed or retired goblin rewards us with souls which we can use to upgrade the settlement as a whole and gather more companions with more traits. As mentioned, the traits heavily impact the stat points, which are essential to the class system, since a brute with a high body stat cannot become a shaman, while a goblin who has the religious trait cannot become a fighting class, which makes sense since religious people are never violent. Entangled in the class system are also weapons each goblin can carry, which often come with unique traits of their own, but feel like a missed opportunity since we cannot upgrade them in the long term, but only temporarily for an ongoing mission with the gemstones or the blacksmith. Yeah, drop your head, it's a shame, I know. The enjoyable combat, mixed with the great art style and nifty settlement system, sadly cannot outweigh the current issues with the grind, the weak customization system and the fact that many players encountered game-breaking bugs. Therefore, Goblin Stone currently amounts to a refund instead of a real fun. Would you agree with my verdict? Let me know in the comments and don't forget to clean your nails.